So I guess we'll talk about this. This is the master cylinder that's going to power those little brake things that are going to go on the bottom of the unit. So this is a master cylinder I bought off eBay. I think it was like 20 bucks. I don't know. There's so many of them on there. This is for like a little ATV or something. And it has this little rubber boot that goes on here. But anyway, this is I put this port in here. It has this one port on the end, and that's for like a brake line. I'm gonna put you up on the stand. So this brake line goes in the front, and it came with a bolt, and then you run this to whatever you want. And I'm running it to a little junction block. I have this is the thing, the little unit that goes on the bottom of the machine, and there's 4 of those. So I made this little block, and the fluid comes in here, and I got 4 ports for those 4 blue lines that are going to be attached to this. So what this piece does, it replaces this piece that I had up there. This was air powered, and now I'm using hydraulic fluid. So I'm just going to use this piece instead of this piece. I mean, I could still make these air operated, but I'm going to try to go with the hydraulic fluid. But we're using this part to activate it. And like I said, I drilled this piece out so I could put a gauge on there. And this is just a piece of angle aluminum. I got a little spacer block in here. Now the thing is, this spacer block is threaded. I don't have a clearance hole going through there. And the reason I did that is because if I didn't have that threaded, and I just put this bolt through there, this piece would have a tendency to start moving, because it's not solidly hooked to the angle. So by threading this piece here and actually threading this bolt into this piece, and then this has a clearance hole, and then put a nut on it, it'll hold it solid to this piece instead of just a couple of spacers in there. So what this is there's a hole that passes through there, and I got 4 countersunk screws in here. Two of them are rusty, 2 of them are shiny, and this is just a bushing here. Then this piece, it's an arm well, this there's a bushing on this side too, and inside this bushing is a piece of brass. But this piece here, I mean, you can't just use a tube. You have to, this has to be locked in position. So I made this little slot in here, and then this piece has got a slot, and then there's a thread in the center. This is just I got this from McMaster Carr, and this is just a piece of threaded rod. I turn the end down here. It's the same thing on the other side, this arm. So that fits in there, and you probably heard this pin fall out. So that fits on there, and then this bolt and washer go on there. Oh, let me show you the bushing. So this side of here I got a bushing, brass bushing. It doesn't go all the way through. I think it's only like 1/2 inch thick or 9/16 thick. But this this setup here is the same as here. So that goes through there. And that fits on there. So when there's no fluid in this right now, I got to dry fit this piece, make sure it fits correctly. But you know, when this goes like that, that goes like that, and then this goes inside of there. Then when you push on it like that, it activates the brake and pushes fluid out of here. So what's going to activate this is I got this the cylinder. Now this is a cylinder I bought on eBay. And I think it was like $15 or $18 or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of them. But the problem was that this was too long. See, when it first came, it was like too long. And I tried to find a shorter one, and I really couldn't find a shorter one. So I thought, well, for 15 bucks, you know, maybe I can take this apart and make it shorter. But the thing was that, you know, the thread had to be, I had to be able to make the thread. So I took it apart, and this is the piece off the end, and this is the shaft I cut, and found out that this is 26 threads per inch. Well, it's not actually 26 threads per inch, it's some kind of metric thing, but 26 threads per inch will make it work. So I thought, well, I'll give it a shot, see what happens, you know. So I cut it, and well, I took it apart, took the shaft off. I mean, there's just like an O-ring in there and a bushing. It's really simple, nothing to it at all. So this came with the part. The lock nut came with it, and it had a nut on the end or something. And so anyway, I cut 1.5 inches off of it. So this shaft was that much longer, and this cylinder was that much longer. So I did the 26 threads per inch, and it worked out great. Didn't have any problems at all. And I did the same thing with the shaft. I cut it, and the original piece that's here screws on. I mean, of course, it's a little wobbly at first, but as it goes on, it gets tighter because the threads, you know, they're mismatching. They're not perfect. And it gets to a point where it stops, but I got, I don't know, I'm almost a good 3/8, maybe 7/16 of thread engagement there. Gets to that point there and it stops. And let me lock that nut down there and we'll see what we got here. Yeah, it's a good 3/8 or so. So it's a little wobbly right here, and then as it goes on, you know, it gets a little snugger because the threads are mismatching. But it's good enough for what I'm doing. And I did the same thing to the cylinder. See, this is the original cylinder, and I cut the cylinder here. I made it shorter, so this piece would thread into that piece. It has like a little O-ring groove on it, O-ring on it, that got like a little 45 right here, and so it worked out good. And the only other thing I did was, this is the original. See, it's on a cylinder, so they give you, I have it on the floor over there, but they give you a fitting, and it's got a little O-ring groove on it, and you're supposed to screw it down on there. But of course, you know, you're on the top of a cylinder, so the O-ring doesn't sit flat. So I put a little flat on it, not a big deal. Just lined it up and took an end mill and just took a little cut on it, put a little flat on it. So the O-ring sits flat. So what this does is this sits in here. I made this little bracket here. And that sits in there, kind of like that. And I made a little pin. Now using this little clip thing to go in there. Then it's the same thing on this side. So that goes in there. It's got a little cut in there. It's got a little cut to fit that. Like that. Then I got another little pin thing I made. Fits in there like that. So I put a little air in that air valve I use. It's going to open and close this. Now see, it's got a mechanical advantage here because I think it's 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 for the amount here versus the amount here. So when this is inside of there, I activate that cylinder and it pushes that. And hopefully that'll work. I don't have it set right now. But I tried the cylinder. I put air in it. It works pretty good. But I haven't tried this when it's all together. Everything's a little bit loose right now. But it should work. So anyway, that's going to activate my brake system. Now this piece here mounts on the frame, and I have to put it together and make sure it clears. I'm not even sure it clears. But that's something I got to do. So this piece here mounts with those two flathead screws. Then there's a threaded hole in the middle that the bolt is going to come through from the frame, and then I was just going to put a nut on this side. There was no point in putting another threaded piece when I can just put a nut right there. So that's kind of what I was thinking. And I guess we'll see what happens with it. All right. Talk to you later.